Welcome to Dare a New Belief, a place to discover what is possible for your life after the loss of a loved one, and where you will find inspiration, insight, support, and love, and hopefully a bit of laughter to help you through your day. Now, here's your host, Nada Hogan.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, where you will find light and life, love and joy, healing, faith, and hope. A place where you get to believe in what is possible for your life. And today on part 2, I have the great honor to be back with Blair Shackle. If you missed part 1, you will want to go back to listen to part 1 and catch up with what we're talking about today. But in the meantime, Blair is a digital manager and an intuitive coach for wellness practitioners, coaches, creatives, and holistic small businesses. Blair helps clients create consistent content, align with their digital strategy, and increase their ease online and off. She fills her cup with nature, universal energy, ascension, astrology, and all things spiritual. Her most important work is being a beautiful mama to 2 sweet boys and leaving the world a better place for them to live in. Welcome, Blair. I'm so grateful you're here.
Thank you, Nada. I am so happy to be here too.
Yeah, good. I'm glad because I love this and I love you. So
I love you.
I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do. In the first episode, we had talked about a journey that you went through. You had a miscarriage 7 to 8 years ago, and then you became pregnant with your first full-term pregnancy. And we're going to pick it up from there because during this first full-term pregnancy, you had some mental agitation, some mental restlessness, and it kind of led into, I don't know if that was the leading factor of it, but anyways, this pregnancy was a difficult pregnancy. So even though you felt wonderful, and I mean, being pregnant, you felt wonderful. And I guess this is where I need you to clarify that. Was it just after delivery of River, or was it even before the delivery of River that you were getting an inkling that something is happening here that's bigger than what it feels like I can manage myself?
It was only, I would say, 36 hours before I had River, I started to feel that inkling.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. So I made it through the whole pregnancy feeling seriously pretty amazing. And then it was when my labor started, I was like, I don't know if this is going to go the way that I expect it to.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, and you were at a hospital. Were you doing a water birth, or were you at a hospital like full on?
So I was with a midwife group who did deliver at a hospital. So that was, a choice that I made with my husband. But I did intend to have a water birth because I just thought, hey, that seems better than laying on your back and doing it, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I did not end up having a water birth. It was quite a journey for River to come earthside. I actually ended up going into labor right at midnight on my 30th birthday.
Wow.
My water broke, and he is just a stubborn little lad, and he did not come out for another like 42 hours or so. So
yeah, wow.
It was kind of like one of those things where, being having a full-term birth for the first time, I thought, oh, my water broke. Here he's going to come any minute, not any minute, but he'll come soon.
Yeah.
And it took quite a bit of effort to encourage my body to relax and allow him to come through me, because I think I all of a sudden just seized up in tension thinking, okay, I had this miscarriage. I never really acknowledged the fact that I was pregnant with that miscarriage, which to me seems crazy. Now I'm full-term pregnant, giving birth in a matter of hours, minutes, whatever, ended up being days. And I think at that moment, all the things that I had not processed or kind of not acknowledged that, I'm bringing in a new family member into my life for the rest of my life, all caught up with me. So I, went to the hospital, tried to do things as naturally as I don't like using the word natural because all birth is natural, but trying to do things without as many interventions as possible.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to happen anymore because if you give birth in a hospital, if your water breaks, you have about 24 hours that they'd like you to deliver in because of a risk for an infection. So they hooked me up to a drug called Pitocin, which if any, moms out there know, it is it's a synthetic oxytocin. So it helps create more strong and powerful contractions. And oh boy, that hurts. That hurts a lot. So along with like my mental agitation, I kind of had obviously this physical agitation. I also had a midwife that said something that has stuck with me. And I was like, ooh, it was kind of scary. So she said, because she saw that I was very upset that I had to have Pitocin and I didn't want to be hooked up to, lines of drugs and, you want to kind of have like the reign of the world when you're in labor. You don't want to be hooked up to anything.
Right.
And I started crying. And she said, if you don't turn this around right now, I've seen women really I don't remember exactly what she said, but really mess up their postpartum experience. And I was like, oh, and wow. I was like, oh my gosh. And it wasn't very loving, but
yeah.
I was like, I'm a first-time mom first-time mom. And I don't know what to expect. I myself am already afraid of hospitals anyway.
Yeah.
I kind of have white coat syndrome. And so I was very nervous and at that point in my life, I didn't know how to turn it around. I didn't know anything but feeling tension in that moment and sadness. So, I still let myself, grieve that loss of my birth plan. And I just was upset. And I think that comment also just made everything a little bit more confusing.
Right.
So it was hard. That was a really hard thing to hear.
Wow. Yeah. No kidding. That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, very insensitive and harsh. I mean, it's just, oh, bless your heart, man. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you end up so you're in labor, you have this medication, but nothing is happening yet. So what's happening now after?
Yes, right. So, and I also was grieving because once you're on Pitocin, or I don't remember if it's once you're on Pitocin, but the Pitocin caused me to get an epidural, obviously, because I was in excruciating pain. So I got an epidural, which means if you have an epidural, no water birth for you. So, because obviously you can't feel anything from the waist down.
Right.
So I was very upset about that too. And it just was like, it was just so in my face, like that nothing was going to go the way that I expected it.
Yeah.
That just planted a seed in me. Like that, just like, some seeds you plant are just not what you want,
Yeah.
So after I had the epidural, I felt a lot better. Mind you, I've been up for probably almost 2 days now without any sleep. That's also a factor,
Yeah.
too. And I end up getting actually a really cool thing. They had some energy workers at the hospital I was at. So I got some like Reiki done, which felt really, really good. Helped me
Cool.
relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And then my son, everything was going great. And the whole, like the rest after I had my epidural and that energy work, everything was going much, much better. And I delivered my son perfectly healthy at around probably 7:30 that night. So
Okay.
that went well. I had my meditation music on and my turquoise necklace and all this good stuff. So I felt like I still had a part of myself there.
Yeah.
and which is good.
Yeah.
And he was born, and one of the first things that they said after he was born is that, oh, he's really small. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I've never had a baby before. He was 6 pounds. That's a normal sized baby, right?
Yeah.
I know we're kind of used to having babies now that are like bigger, but I somehow create small babies. And like the doctors would be like, they would ask me, they'd be like, did you smoke during your pregnancy? And I was like, no, I didn't smoke during my pregnancy, because they think they're trying to look for a cause of why he was small, even though there was absolutely nothing physically or emotionally wrong with him.
Right.
So,
wow. Oh
right.
my.
And so it's like, and that's what I just like get so frustrated with, is because I feel like, and this is not true for every hospital, but sometimes under that type of medical care, they're looking for issues where there aren't issues that are actually happening, because River was eating well, he was sleeping well, going to the bathroom, checking off all the newborn boxes. So that doesn't feel very comforting when you've just given up your body for the last 48 hours to try and bring someone into the world.
Right.
And then I think we stayed one night in the hospital. No, we stayed 2 nights. And I ended up, my mind was just racing, and I was not able to sleep those 2 nights. So if you're keeping track, that's 4 nights that I didn't sleep. And I'm not, no, it's not good. And I'm not being dramatic where like, oh, I dozed off for an hour or I dozed off for 45 minutes. Like I did not sleep. Like there was no sleeping. And so I just was so mental. Like I was just so in my head, and I couldn't get like the thoughts of like, is my baby okay? Am I already a bad mom because he's so little? People are telling me this, you're so open and vulnerable after you have a baby. And I think people need to be more mindful of what you say to these amazing, strong women that are giving birth to these children. So stop me if you have any questions, but I can keep going if you'd like.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm just kind of amazed. It's like, wow, unbelievable. It's just so cold and mechanical and and I'm wondering, what were they thinking that you're not sleeping? Was anybody concerned about that? Like, we need to get this mom to rest.
That's so true, because I think it's twofold. First, I thought because everything I read, oh, I'm not supposed to be sleeping. I'm not supposed to. So I didn't bring it up to any of the nurses. I wasn't complaining about it. I was like, oh, well, this is normal. Everyone tells you you're not supposed to sleep, but of course you're supposed to sleep, but it's not maybe the best sleep of your life.
Right.
And then they didn't, I mean, how like the nurses come in every like 2 hours to check on you anyway during the night. So it's like, how do they expect you to get any real rest?
Right.
So